that you've got, and he wrote Mire, right? Mir. And I went, what's that? He said, it's good. And I said, oh, that's quite interesting. In Arabic, you've got the word mirhaba, or the phrase mirhaba, which is good morning, right? So it's rather interesting to see a connection like that between languages, you know, and all the way along the north of the Mediterranean, if you like, there's an incursion of the Moors, as they say, right, from the southern end of the Mediterranean, and there will have been that link up between the languages in various places. We've got that with the Scottish Gaelic and some Swedish words and Danish words. Yeah.
You're right across Europe.
Yeah.
Didn't the fact that humans like to trade with each other.
And also they do move at times. There are.
When you get a minority, an ethnic minority move into your country, then of course they're going to have an impact on culture and language. It's only natural.
Yes. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. In Scotland, we've got a very cosmopolitan society, and I think it's wonderful. I really, really do. You know. Yep. And what's the phrase that we've got to say? Eid Mubarak to my friends out there. Yes.
Eid Mubarak.
Yes, that's right. Because they've got the what is it? They all go round about the.
I don't know. I'm a religious man.
What?
I don't know what they say. I'm a religious man. Jeez, oh.
Yeah.
I could get right in the back of a stamp. Anyway, folks are starting to fire on the door. As you can see, folks, David's back.
Yes.
So, the script I wrote's out the window. You try to set some tumbleweed up, boy. This is well. I guess you'll be going to the naughty step soon. Anyway.
My son's that. Do you want to know? In actual fact, I've got to say, I've had to lighten the camera up a bit and create the normal skin tones, because in actual fact, seriously, this is dark brown. I don't need to say more than that. It's dark brown. Just accept that. You know, the camera, I can do all sorts with the camera.
You might try and get it to put some natural light into the bloody place. Right, we've got enough people on board. We're up early 100 mark. So, as you can see, folks, the other one's back. And the format's back to how it used to be. But today we're going to start with a subject to be covered on Monday, because David wasn't here. And of course, it's the big announcement by Humza that he's decided that next election is going to be the games of bogey.
Okay, what happened?
I'm kidding, honestly. Under a bloody rock, so you know what
happened. The one thing that I saw, I mean, obviously I had the phone with me, and I was able to go online and check things out and the rest of it. But we had a TV that played Sky News. So there was stuff that we saw there, you know. Why?
Well, anyway.
Anyway, well.
So what do you think?
Well, my take on it is that Humza did exactly what we wanted him to do. He said exactly the words. He framed it perfectly. It's going to be a plebiscite, and the plebiscite is going to create Scottish independence. End of. The negotiation with the Westminster is simply going to be who gets the fucking CD collection. End of, and the divorce. That's it. Yeah.
What's interesting about it, David, because I know you haven't had a chance to see the way the media here in Scotland reacted and how they've tried to frame it to make it sound as if he's actually what he's telling the Scottish people as he's gone for a mandate for a referendum. That's not what the man said at all.
I saw Channel 4, and they actually, Channel 4 played his speech, and then the woman reporter that was stood at the conference, you could see the stage behind her. She was talking about Humza Yousaf was talking about winning the Scottish part of the general election and then that would give them a mandate to hold a Scottish election. And I went, no.
Well,
No,
that's what I never thought of before, but
that's how they are trying to frame it, as you say, your words.
well, the BBC are running it in a different angle. If you go to the BBC website, you'll see that what they're saying is, what he's saying is, if he wins an election, then that's a mandate for a referendum. So everybody's trying, the unions are trying to frame this for him. But as we both know, on Sky on Sunday, he wasn't allowing the reporter to frame it for him. He made it clear, Westminster rules.
That was
50% plus one, rubbish.
That was Mr. Trevor Phillips you're talking about.
The Labour guy. Right.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor Phillips should not be doing that job of interviewing anybody because he's not intelligent enough to do that job. End of. I'm sorry. I'm talking about him as an interviewer, as someone that holds that position of interviewing politicians and holding them to account, as they say.
Well,
in my mind, he doesn't have the intelligence to do that. He says stuff that's just stupid.
Well, he did say a lot of stuff that comes in to correct him on. But as I say, the UK state propaganda machine and the commercials are, and of course the rags, they're trying to frame it. Holmes is no having it. Yeah. You know, he's giving it no. We're playing by your rules. And he's taking them Maggie's words literally because they're all saying we're not telling you the route to independence. Well, you've already told us, so we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So
I've said that. Yeah, I don't like this bringing out Maggie's the witch's words. That if you want independence, just bring enough MPs to Westminster and that's it. You've got it right. I don't care what the witch said. It's like whether or not she said it. That's still the case, and it's like if we run an election where we tell the people clearly, vote for the SNP, and if enough SNP MPs are returned to Westminster, i.e. more than 30, it'll be more than 30, right? I'm working out the boundary changes, right? When more than 30, then that's it. That's independence. That's it. It's a job. Job's done.
Yes, right. And that is it, because what Holmes is pointing out to these morons is that the majority of the voting population will have voted for that option.
Yeah.
And that's a clear expression of the will of the people.
Yeah.
Because in order to win the majority of MPs, you have to win the majority of the vote.
Yeah.
Now, as you and I know, I think Bojo's majority for the 90 was about 40%, wasn't it?
41% it was.
And I think Tony Blair's landslide was 38.7, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong on that one, but it's a long time ago now.
So that's Westminster rules. It's
Westminster rules.
The post. And all we need to do is have a majority of MPs for the Scottish part of the election. And that's it, job done.
Well, I'm being asked by Nathan if seen Gordon Ross said about it there. I'm not really interested in what Gordon had to say. I'm sure it was interesting. I'm sure he's got an interesting take on it. I was in the room.
Yeah.
I know what the man said.
Yeah.
I stuck to his guns on Sunday in the press. I know what the man said. And he told them straight, no, we're playing by your rules. Majority SNP MPs out of the Scottish contingency, we're calling it, because that's the majority will of the Scottish people.
I saw a comment there by Audrey Conley. Gordon Ross wasn't impressed. Listen, guys, right? I don't give a damn about anybody's take on it, their opinion on it. All under one banner are asking people to explain it to them. If you're too bloody thick to take on a blooming message like that with that Humza put out, then that's your problem, not mine.
He didn't just tell us how he was going to do it. He framed it so that they couldn't frame it.
Correct.
And I was in the room. I know what he said.
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed with the way the convention went. David, you know that. Everybody knows that. I was critical of it. I mean, we got a reply back to the SNP saying there was 99 people, so they couldn't all speak. My argument was anybody that wasn't want to talk about a route to independence should be filtered out, not the other way round.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with what Holmes had to say.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he's framed it in such a way that they can't wriggle out it, because let's face it, this is his own record.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to hear what you thought about it. When Gordon Ross is entitled to his opinion, everybody is. I'm not going to slate Gordon Ross for sharing his opinions with people live. That's what we do.
Yeah. Go for it, Gordon. Simple as that, you know. But I understood it, and I was like halfway down the planet, right? You know.
Anyway, right. Let's move on. It would appear that a number of SNP MPs are not going to stand again at the next election, and with the exception of Angela Crowley, who's leaving because she's got a young family, and it's too much hard work for her to go up and doing, and it's unfair in the young family. The rest of them, Ian Blackford, Peter Grant, Douglas Chapman, Pete Wishart, you know, these guys have all done their time. They've all been down there in that hellhole a long time.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to be saluted the same way saluted Angus Brendan McNeil for surviving in that cesspit for so long.
Correct.
You know, the fact that they can't, that they're getting to an age now where, because let's face it, that can't be easy going. You know, I mean, you've heard Mary Black talking about being exhausted, and she's a young woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so a number of big hitters for the SNP are stepping back to the front line, but let's face it, they've been on that front line for a long, long time.
It's a good thing. You know, when Ian Blackford sort of like went, right, that's it, I'm off, right? And Stephen Flynn came in, I went, oh, I didn't, to be honest with you, I did not know Stephen Flynn, didn't know anything about him. Okay, I made it my business to find out about him, honest. It turned out he's a bloody nice chap, and he's got a good mind as well. And I've been very impressed with what Stephen's done.
I think what they're doing is actually looking at the younger team coming through and going, like, these are maybe harder negotiators, and let's go the road like that here. You know, because I mean, if we look at Holmes at 38 to 40, I think I said he was 41. I think somebody correctly said he was 38. This is a young guy that's just stood up and said, "We're not playing by your fucking, well, we're playing by your rules, but we're going to tell you what the outcome is. Yeah. Democracy must out." And this is going to be an interesting period. I mean, because the unionists are, you know, they're no chuffed. They wanted to frame this.
I actually had someone that said that they were pro-independence that came onto one of my posts the other day. The lady, and I looked on their website, and there's pictures of her at the Shard in London having champagne lunches and all the rest of it, right? A hooray Henrietta, right? We would call her, right? And she was saying, "What about the people that don't want independence, David? Are we not doing that?" I know, I appreciate that, and I just said, "Look, you know, it's like I really don't care about snowflakes that don't want independence because that's their choice."
No, I mean, we respected it the last time. They didn't respect the outcome. We were promised all sorts and got nothing.
Absolutely.
Road signs and air rifles, there you go.
So I gave her an extra 50 pence in my retort. I said, "Here, fuck off. And when you get there, there's an extra 50 pence to fuck off some more, right?" That's it.
You're on the back and you've started the bad language already. Come on. You know, I'm quite happy for people to jump on my timeline and say this is not the way to do it. Or I don't want this to happen. That's fair enough. That's your opinion. But how democracy works is, who's just framing this? If you vote for the SNP, it's a vote for Scotland to become independent. And the Supreme Court has ruled there's power at the ballot box. They're denying there's a referendum. So this is the ballot box. You know. So, right, let's move on because we've got a load of calls.
To finish off that nicely, we will have our fucking democracy, whether they like it or not.
Right, Scottish Boundaries Commission submits findings to the UK government. Scotland will lose 2 seats at the next general election. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland lose seats. England to gain 10 seats, mostly in the south east, with some of the north of England losing MPs as well, believe it or not.
Now, I wish there was time in this hour to allow you to explain exactly what happens with the Boundary Commission and how they work it out?
I can do it quickly if you like.
Have a go.
Okay, the way it works is, now, never mind the demographic deficit for Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. It's got to do with population density or population
There's a
scarcity.
bit of tumbleweed just went by my window here, David.
You're going to let me explain this or no? It's got to do with population density and population scarcity, if you like. Now, the way it works, the way it's worked through is I think there's 5 constituencies protected by law, and they're all island groups. You've got Jersey, Isle of Man, Outer Hebrides, Orkney, Shetland. They're protected by law, so the boundaries and the constituencies never change. But the rest, the way it works is the other 645 MPs are allocated a quota of the population. In this case, it is 73,395 constituents per MP, and an MP's constituency can be no larger than 5,000 square miles. Wow. Now,
Don't you feel that way back in 1707, had there been fair people, it would have been 40 MPs for England, 40 MPs for Scotland, 40 MPs, and that would have been fair and equitable. And it's because of that present system that you just explained that we're now in a situation where it's completely undemocratic and that it's time to go. It's time to go. Bye-bye. We don't want to be part of this anymore.
You asked me to explain how this is done. The Electoral Commission looks at it every 10 years or so. And the reason why they look at it is because if we take a look at the size of Glasgow, back in the 80s with 1.5 million of population, there's now only about 660,000 in Glasgow. Population changes. So Glasgow will lose a seat and it will go to 9 seats. And one of the Barton seats will get bigger. There'll be boundary changes as well to accommodate this. And of course, we know that there's Morrie's losing a seat as well. You know, and the constituencies will stretch out a wee bit further. So that's basically why they do it. So that people understand, it is just down to population density and diversity and sparsity in regions. That's all it is. And of course, the allocated amount of voters that each MP must represent.
Now, if just imagine it this way: imagine that if they did their work, the Boundary Commission, right, and they were going to take seats off the Tories, what do you think would happen then?
They did. They've taken Morrie away.
No, but what I'm saying is taking a large number of seats away from the Tories, right? Because
remember, the Boundaries Commission is independent, and they don't see it as a party political at all. They're only per capita and the size of the constituency. That's all totally out with government. And these reviews happen, as I say, because the size of cities grow and then they decline. Industrial activity makes people move from one area to the next area, or things like agricultural activity. We'll see one area have less population.
What you're saying is, because it's a commission that lives outside the political bubble, then what happens is it is accepted, and those things go forward. The decisions that have been made go forward and happen.
They go to the Commons, and then from the Commons they go to the Privy Council.
Hold on. What about the Pay Commission, the Public Pay Commission, where the Public Pay Commission agreed to an increase in wages for the nurses, and the Tory MP, the health minister at the moment, the female, no, we're not doing it.
We're not talking apples and pears here, and we'll get to Starmer's own flip-flops and the Prime Minister and his nonsense as well. All right, we're sticking to the established way that these are done.
I'm just drawing a parallel.
Right. I mean, before, at one point there was 79 MPs in Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, when the Parliament combined to start with, there was only 49 MPs for Scotland. You know, it's just the way they set it up, and it's the way it's done. You ask me explaining to people, it's a non-political process. Now what happens is it goes to the Commons. The Commons will pass it. It goes to the Privy Council. They'll look at it and see if there's any political motives in what's happened, and then it'll go to the Crown. And so next election we'll have 57 MPs instead of 59. But how it's calculated is fair. There's a commission here in Scotland deals with it. Commission in England, commission in Wales, commission in Northern Ireland deals with it. And it is down to a set of rules that they've got to follow based on population.
I do hope it's entirely fair and that the rules are followed where the English nurses are concerned.
Well, as I say, we'll get to that when we get to flip-flop and spinning top, and arrogant. Okay. So anyway, so that's the report you're through. So the next general election will have 57 MPs. And no 15 folks, all right? Right, next one up, court challenge over GRR to go ahead in September, the 19th to the 21st of September. And it's the Scottish Government challenging and the UK Government over the issue of a Section 35 to strike down a piece of legislation which was in devolved competency and voted for unanimously by the Scottish Parliament.
In actual fact, the court challenge should be to challenge Section 35.
Aye, for its very existence.
Yes. Should be no way that Westminster can step in and override a fair and equitable vote by all parts of the Parliament on a particular piece of legislation being brought in.
Yeah, they shouldn't be able to block it, but especially when it's within what they call devolved competencies.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that was within the devolved competency.
It is within devolved competencies. There's no argument there.
Yeah.
The argument's about equality, the UK-wide Equalities Act. You know, so we'll see what the court rules. But it had to be challenged in court for democratic reasons. Yeah. What Westminster did was act undemocratically in an area that's totally devolved. And it was just out of malice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's a bit the same way the deposit return scheme. It's out of malice. Yeah. As Jamie Jones in Wales explained, the internal market bill is not supposed to give England a veto on what Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland do.
Correct.
You know. So anyway, this challenge goes ahead, folks. It's an important piece of news, and you've got to remember that these are challenging our democracy and our democratic institutions. So these things are important. Let's move on to
just to finish that one up. I think we just have to accept that the Tories are a fascist government, and being a fascist government means they will need to keep control and keep power on every mortal thing that goes on within the UK, and doing what they've done with the DRS the GRR and the deposit return scheme is just part of keeping control. That's it.
Well, and the other thing is, I see somebody's asking about the UN Charter on the Rights of the Child. It's been brought back before the Scottish Parliament, and it will go through.
Also, I would like everybody to know, including Marty, DJ Marty, is that I stayed in the shade. I'm one of these people, you take me on a holiday to a sunny place, and I go looking for the dark bit so I can read my book. Where my wife, she sits out in the grass or beside the pool with next to nothing on and covers herself in olive oil to get as much sunshine as she can, as quickly as she can.
Right, let's move on to the court battle. It is important. It's important that people know about it because our democracy is being attacked. Okay, but moving on. Another one while you're away, Dross has decided to have a mini shuffle to try and stop dissent.
I didn't hear about that. It obviously wasn't very prominent on the feeds that I was looking at, right?
Aye.
And I was quite interested that he did a wee bit of a reshuffle, right? And I can say that, is he trying to keep his position? Is he trying to surround himself with like minds that support him? Is that what it's about?
He's trying to stop dissent. Jamie Greenskin has been kicked out of his position because he was seen as a challenge for Dross. Right? So he's on the back bench again while the the shadow ministers have all been shuffled. And he seems to have been surrounding himself with the people he wants to surround himself with to keep himself in office. You know, but with the Tories, you know, somebody's always going to stab you in the back with the Tories. That's how Tories work.
To be honest with you, I think it's astounding that anybody can admit to being a Tory these days. Never mind stand up in front of a TV camera and say it. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Poor
Anyway,
guy. Sorry.
but when I was reading the articles about this, it brought something to mind. And I thought, you know, here we have plants in the Scottish Parliament, and they're standing under lies. They get elected under lies to that Parliament. And that is because they claim to be the Scottish Tory Party and the Scottish Labour Party, when no such party exists. So these two entities, these branch offices, actually advertise themselves incorrectly to the Scottish people. Because there isn't a Scottish Labour, there isn't a Scottish Tories, it's just the Labour Party, the Tory Party. And they're both registered in London, and they shouldn't actually be in that Parliament. But they actually go, they start every election campaign in Scotland on a lie. And that lie is that they exist as a party. They don't. And it's actually perpetuated by our corrupt media. Our corrupt media don't point out that these two entities that claim to be political parties in Scotland don't actually exist. So they're very standing for election with the word Scottish Labour and Conservative Party. They don't exist, it's a lie. They are just the Labour Party, the Conservative Party. But they put themselves up for election based on a lie. The very premise is based on a lie. And that's what Dross's mini shuffle made me think of, actually. Because the way the papers are perpetuating the lie that the Scottish Labour Party or the Scottish Conservative Party or the Scottish Liberal Democrats exist. I might be wrong about Lib Dems right enough. It's just perpetuating the lie. They don't. It's just the Tory Party, the Labour Party, the London centric. They're controlled from London and they're planted into our Parliament to disrupt it.
Yeah. If you think about that for a wee minute, you know, it would be very, very easy to prove who's in control. Is to ask them to do something that's against the party line in London.
Right.
They won't do it. They won't ever do it. The nearest they got to it was when Boris became the leader. The Scottish conference that took place, a lot of the Tory members didn't want Boris to attend.
Aye.
They were embarrassed about that, right? But since that, Dross has toed the party line, and so is Anna Sarwar.
They've made themselves look stupid, but they make an announcement here in Scotland, then stand on the road and announce something different. Same thing would happen with the Tory party here. You know, like the Davies with Trussonomics, Dross comes up this road, follow suit. Aye, so we will. Mental case. No. Right, let's move on to Starmer, the man who spins like a top on U-turns. Latest one. He's rolled back on his promise of a green economy, basically a boost to the green economy by 28 billion a year, because he plans to stick to Tory fiscal rules.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Starmer's not going into this next election promising to borrow more, because it'll be a popular thing. So I have got here Starmer's pledges. Well, we have a quick rundown and see what he's flipped on.
Yeah, go on. Let's have it. That'd be rather interesting. Just to remind people
what a liar he is. So, economic justice, increased income tax for the top 5%, out the window.
Yeah.
Social justice, abolish universal credit and end the Tories' cruel sanctions regime, out the window. Climate justice just get thrown out the window. Mm-hmm. Promote peace and human rights. He's going to stick by the human rights abuses that the Tories have put in place with the anti-strike laws and the anti-protest laws. So that's out the window. common ownership of public services. He's walked away from that one and all. Defend migrant rights. Nah, he's hard line on the wee boats. So that's out the window. Strengthen workers' rights. We've just spoke about it. He isn't going to rescind the Tory strike law, anti-strike law. Out the window. Radical devolution of power, wealth and opportunity. Out the window. Abolishing the House of Lords. Out the window. Equality. Pull down obstacles that limit opportunities and talent. Out the window. Because he's been egged on. Scrapping the university tuition fees. Effective opposition to the Tories. Well, we know what his effective opposition to the Tories is. Become the Tories.
Yeah.
So every single last one here. Out the window.
I think somebody at some point has went, Kirsten, what can we do to actually get elected? And somebody said, if you can't beat them, join them.
And what he's basically
doing, that's a good idea.
What he's basically doing is every time there's a flash thing in the press, he's reacting to it.
Yep.
He's reacting to that certain part of the population, like the wee small boats thing and his anti-immigration.
That's what I found when I lived in England, was that the people of a Tory mindset, what they do is they grab something and somebody says, oh, it's dreadful what's happened, they should bring back hanging. That's what we'll do. We'll bring back hanging, right? And that enters the public discourse for a while, you know.
The point of discourse for a while.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about what Starmer's doing is, when he made these pledges, he was trying to win a Labour Party that was massively to the left under Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
Now what he's trying to do is appeal to the right for his support. So he's become more reactionary and he's become more, he's basically turned himself into a liar. He's now the same. After Boris Johnson, Starmer's now the biggest liar in the Parliament down that road. And he actually stole a political party.
Yeah, I think certainly with Starmer was definitely in the Blair camp. And that meant he was one of Maggie's constructs. He is a Tory. Same as Blair was a Tory, Starmer's a Tory, without any doubt whatsoever.
So I thought it'd be interesting for our viewers to realise that every one of the pledges, plus some, are out the window. I also seen in Demo Rants, Care Now Demo's programme yesterday, the plans to axe free school meals for children in England.
Yeah.
Just because he wants to appeal to a certain demographic.
Let's just put this.
They don't have kids and don't want to pay tax for kids to be fed.
Let's frame this, right? Okay. If you were the leader of the Labour Party, right? Straight away, Brexit, that's a known goal. That's something you could have had an effective opposition to the government, no problem whatsoever. Every time we saw the 40-mile blooming tailback to Dover, I'd stand at that dispatch box. I'd had a whale of a time making them look like fools, right? Yeah, and you keep on going. But then you've got the Labour Party that basically opposes unions. What the hell is that about? Have we suddenly woke up in an alternate reality? A Labour Party that's against the unions?
I know.
Come on, you know.
And the Labour Party is trying to stop the unions. He's shown Jeremy Corbyn's film, The Lives That Ended Jeremy Corbyn, I think it's called.
Hang on, there's more, right? We look at that Suella Braverman, or our pal beforehand, Priti Patel, not so pretty, right? Bringing in the Rwanda thing and thinking.
That's some trouble doing the part.
I'm just making it right, bringing that in, right? But then you look back and you go, who in the Labour Party was really right wing and horrible like that? You know, I'll tell you who. Lisa Nandy, who wanted to do the same to the people of Scotland as was done to the people in Catalonia.
batter the hell with them for going to the ballot box.
Guys, if you've got half an inkling to vote Labour, think hard.
And looking, we should have looked at video ops for them to watch. Actually, David.
Yeah, I know. Look, it's what you call it, water on the bridge, but that's what Lisa Nandy intended. And if she's given any power whatsoever, which it looks like, she'll be in the red Tory cabinet straight away.
Aye, she'll be home, minister or something.
Yeah. Think of what she's going to do to our people.
Aye. She wants to beat us out of the heat when we go to the ballot box. Unbelievable.
I know.
Hey, anyway, let's move on to number 7 on the agenda. Patronising PM. Tells population to hold its nerve in face of his government and the Bank of England trying to trigger a recession to get inflation under control. What do you make of it, David?
This is one of those ones where you think you couldn't make it up, but they definitely are.
Listen, no, they actually are trying to trigger a recession.
I know that.
They're not making it up. Yeah, but what's wonderful about it, David, is a Daily Blase put out a wee video about this. About Stephen Flynn skewering Sunak in the Commons, asking him when was the last time he struggled to pay a bill.
Pay a mortgage, obviously it's good to have a wee bit of a laugh about these guys, but really when you think about it, we're talking about people losing their homes on a biblical level. That's potentially what could happen.
That's the patronising bit about it, David. The patronising bit when he's telling people on the edge already, they're struggling to feed their kids, keep a roof over their head, they hold their fucking nerves. This is a guy that didn't know how to use a piece of plastic to pipe for a fucking can of cola. And he's asking, you're talking about your grandparents dying next winter fucking freezing. They'll be able to feed themselves. Hold your nerve, he said. Hold your nerve. Patronising prick.
I know.
Wow.
We're right on the crux of where these guys could kill an awful lot of people. They've tried with COVID. I'll tell you now, see that COVID inquiry? See, if I was down there, I'd be asking them some rude questions, right? Then you've got the energy fuck up and people going through winter when they fucking heat,
Aye, the next players will not be out fucking for a while yet for the winter cold.
Yeah.
But prior to these energy price increases, it ran at about, I think it was 2,000 or 3,000 people a year. What's the death in their own fucking homes?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's why we've got to be really thankful for the people that support this channel and the Food Bank Fund, because it means we can try and help a wee bit. And your generosity is fantastic, folks. Really
I know collectively we can only make a wee tiny dent, but imagine this: if you just save one family from, where maybe they've got 3 or 4 wains going to bed hungry. My goodness me, that's wonderful. Just make a difference.
Anyway, Stephen Flynn didn't half skewer him, and the piss he came away with, and accusing the SNP of economic illiteracy. We're raising people out of poverty down here.
Yeah.
And by raising these people out of poverty, we're putting money back into our local economies.
Please answer me, David. I didn't see the exchange between Stephen Flynn and Sunak, right? Stephen Flynn obviously framed it as a question. Did Sunak attempt to answer it in any way whatsoever?
He's been a good telling the SNP that economic illiterate, even though it was his party that crashed the bloody economy. Thanks, Lorraine. That's very generous of you.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Even though it was his party that's crashed the economy, his party has presided over this Brexit mess. And as you and I know, David, these checks come in October and November and January. Wow.
No. In actual fact, it's like I've been keeping up with the Borders Agency. It looks like they're going to do another through. And what's going to happen is eventually Europe, they're going to call a halt to it. They're going to go, no, if you won't do the checks, we'll do them for you.
I think what's going to happen here is they're going to end up in trouble with the World Trade Organization and all, because they're given European people a competitive edge, you know.
No, the fact of the matter is, they were looking to employ another, was it 400 or 500 people to check vehicles at the borders, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't get them.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Thanks, Howard. That's very generous of you. It really is. But as I say, things are going to get harder when these checks and they kick them into long grass again. I can see them ending up in trouble with the World Trade Organization.
Maybe so. I just know that it was coming, and I thought I'll just have a wee look online, and it's like, here we have where they've changed their mind, and they're not going to have those checks take place. So what they're going to do, they're going to wave them through.
To get back on subject, it's Sunak telling people who are already on the edge, who are losing their homes, hold your nerve, it'll get better. Aye, 2-3 years down the road, maybe 5 years down the road, 8 years down the road, 10 years down the road, maybe.
Yeah.
But that time, a lot of people are going to be in a lot of trouble. And where are all these people going to lose their houses going? Because they don't have built any social housing in England.
If you figure out what happens if you lose your house, right? You go to the council and you try and get on list for a council house, and they'll do their best for you. They really, really will. But if there's a lot of people hitting that at the same time, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're going to see people on the streets. You're going to see people with wains on the streets when it happens enough times. And there's nothing you can do about it. Seriously, if you think that you can have a march and a rally and that will somehow fix it, no, it won't. It just won't, right? And the Bank of England are not going to stop doing what they're doing, because that's the only lever they've got, and they'll keep pulling it until the housing market is blooming dead.
But to hear the Prime Minister, the Chancellor, and the Bank of England are saying they're ever going to trigger a recession here to get inflation under control, it is mental. They're not thinking about the human consequences of their actions.
No, what it is, David, in the square mile in London, the disaster capitalists are saying, there's not a big enough disaster going here, boys.
Right.
Oh, no worries, we put our heads together and we figured that a recession is just what's needed so you guys can make lots and lots of money.
That's why up here we're looking at a well-being economy. You know, we're looking at a well-being economy. As Gordon McIntyre Kemp's pointed out, you tell people you're going to change the economic model to something that's population-based and based on equality, fairness, rather than GDP, they're going to buy into it.
Yeah.
They're going to buy into it. So this is a message we need to push, that's the type of economy we're going to build in an independent Scotland, away from Westminster's broken model altogether.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, the next one makes me smile. Are we ready?
Yeah, go on.
Caroline Lucas, Green MP who's standing down. Suggests England should consider independence. She says breaking up the union.
She's become a filthy separatist. Honestly, I'm telling you, you couldn't get. Honestly, I'm going to start writing to people about it. It's dreadful. This is. She's becoming a separatist.
Shocking behaviour, but it's not really that much of a surprise considering the Greens are on the pro independent side up here, isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, Caroline Lucas, what's happening is there's a conference going to be held in Edinburgh to celebrate the life of Tom Nairn and his book, The Breakup of the Union, the breakup of the United Kingdom. So, and there's going to be various speakers at it for England, because people, what they're hiding these polls down there for is no Scotland's attitude to independence. Actually, there's a huge swathe of people in England want independence.
Yeah.
They want to take back control so that they can control Westminster.
I look at that and I go, yeah, a lot of them don't want independence for the sake of what we do because it's necessary politically, economically, and all the rest of it, right? I think, in actual fact, there are an awful lot of people in England that want independence to cut the rest of us off from their subsidies.
Which, of course, they
don't realise that, guys. It's still there. It's still there. You lot are blooming junkies, subsidy junkies, and you will remain that.
And as Ruth Davison says, subsidy junkies who are put in the corner in case they steal anything.
Yeah.
That's an attitude that does prevail down that road. But as we know, the Great Lie is dead.
Yeah.
You've got a video about the Great Lie being dead. Westminster's having to keep Scotland because, as the Telegraph told the English people the other day there, but no the Scottish people, Scotland's oil is what's going to keep the economy afloat during this recession.
Yeah.
Mental. And that's why Sir Keir Starmer has U-turned on his idea of no licence in new oil fields.
Yeah. I'm afraid that what's the phrase? A refugee to fortune, which was the phrase. Starmer has no choice but to kick back all these ideas, which might have seemed quite noble a while back. He's got to start looking at the reality of what the Tory party have built. 2.8 trillion public debt. Grab a hold of that, son. And I think the Tories are quite happy to shuffle off into the darkness of the other side.
But what's interesting in this conference is it's recognising that the peoples in each constituent part of the United Kingdom actually see Westminster as a problem, and one of the solutions is to dissolve the Union.
Yeah.
That's the point of the conference, because that was a solution in Tom Nealon's book, I believe. I've never read it myself.
No.
So I can't really say for sure, but this is Leslie Riddoch's take on it. And Fintan will be speaking at it. I hope they live stream it because it's going to be a wonderful event.
I'd love to hear wee Fintan talking about that. I'd be quite.
Oh, he's absolutely fascinating when he takes a magnifying glass to the English population. You know, that was one of the things Caroline Lucas was on about. Us English people are going to try and find ourselves. You know, we've lost our identity. We don't know who we are. And what she's saying is the breakup with the Union might give England a chance to address all these problems, especially identity, you know. So that's an interesting one, and that'll be coming up. I think it's in November, that one. So I hope they live stream it. That'll be very interesting. Right. This one made me giggle, but at the same time made me angry. We'll get to why it made me giggle. And that is a UK government set to bail out failing Thames Water.
It's run by Houri Henrietta.
Aye, but doing your Houri Henrietta, your sexist piggy.
Well, you get Henrys and you get Houri Henriettas.
Right, let's just call them eccentric. That one won't get into any gender trouble. All right.
You can just imagine them coming out of Oxford or Cambridge and saying, I need some way to make money. It's okay, we'll make you the CEO of one of the water authorities. You can do what you like. You don't have to actually do the job. And it's like there's loads of money coming out of it, you know.
But more importantly, the reason why this story is interesting and made me laugh at the same time, I thought this is going to be sore. Now, the Tories in England, especially when it comes to utilities, as we all know, have been using this. They're having this experiment of privatisation. It's been going for years. They're still trying to do it in the NHS, doing that road. Yeah. But now we're starting to see the privatisation model fail. As we've been pointed out in the comments, you know, the Tories have taken back into public hands more of these failed private experiments than the Labour Party have. You know, all the railway lines that have had to come back into public hands, basically what's happened is profits have went out and debt's been transferred to the public purse.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. But what's
in actual fact, look, can I just tell you, in actual fact, to the kind of person that runs a business with that kind of mindset, what they do is they have got the number one company, limited company, right, and a number two limited company. They've just set up, right, and what they do is they take all the good bits from the limited company number one, put it into number two, and leave all the crap with the number one limited company. This folds, they walk away with the gold, right? And that's precisely what's happening with the you know, if you look at British Rail and all the rest, all the different parts, they're stripping out all the parts they can to this other setup, this other place that they can take it to, and they're taking profits out, but they're keeping it separate. And if you look into it, you'll actually see that there's now a division of profits going across the board, right?
Yeah, but listen, but what brings this one to my interest is that when they do have to step in and start bailing all these places out with public money because of failed experiment privatisation, Scottish taxpayers are going to have to bail out English water.
Absolutely.
And we don't have private utilities running our water, private utility companies running our water.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be paying out more tax, more debt to cover stupidity in England.
You know, you look at it, they're doing that right now with energy. They're producing electricity using gas. It costs astronomical cost. Our electricity that comes from blooming propellers, right? That's not cheap. But we are still paying the English quotient, simple as that, right? Same thing. We've got our water authority that is in public hands, and we're still going to have to pay up to help out Thames Water, and it won't just be Thames Water. They'll all be in trouble.
A domino effect now is they bail out because the debt will end up in the public purse, and they'll head for the hills with the profits.
Yeah, that's precisely what I was saying. It's like you've got two ways of doing it. You move an asset, right? Or you can make it whereby that asset becomes a magnet for public money. Like, oh, help us, we're poor, and the money comes in to bail it out, right? Well, you don't.
What's interesting with this, when we're going through the process of privatising and selling off the water to all these private companies, it was pointed out that people can't be without water. So if these companies pile debt on, a huge amount of some money out to their shareholders, and then they can't service that debt, people still have to water, so we were always going to have to step in.
Correct.
It was pointed out at the time that the people were being conned. It was pointed out by people like Scotland, here in Scotland, who said, no, water stays in public hands because we're always going to have water going into our homes. You know, we were pointing out at the time, this is not a good idea. Whereas the Tories being the Tories, the private sector will pour money in, your water will get cheaper, it'll be cleaner, it'll be great. Their water's they're pumping effluents into the rivers, they're killing off their ecosystems, the whole feckin' lot, and it's going to cost Scotland.
I was in England when it happened, and I'll tell you what, we had just maybe 6 or 8 months before the bills started going up, and they had their first hosepipe ban.
Yep.
You know, hosepipe ban's dead simple. It's an opportunity for them to charge you, and at the same time not provide you with product.
Right, we're running out of time with two subjects now.
Right. Okay.
UK EU ambassador is sitting in Humza Yusuf's meetings in Brussels and to hold meetings of conversations that creep into reserved areas, even if the reserved issue is broached by the other dignitary.
What do I make of it? I tell you what I'll make of it, right? I'm just going to read you from my very own post, right? Right at the very end of it, right? Here we go. Just read this. You can be assured that the EU are well aware of what's going on, right? That they're well briefed and all the rest of it, right? Of this aspect of the Tory fascist government in the UK, and they'll be prepared for it, right? But the EU are now in a position where they owe the British Isles no more regard than a truckload of croissants that have gone off somewhere between Calais and Dover. I like it. I like this. I like this aspect of where it's obvious what they're doing. They're trying to shut our diplomats up, right? Okay. Because it gives the loins. Look that up, that word up, right? Phrase up. It gives the loins of those we will be looking to recognise when we win the Scottish part of the general election. In no way can this be considered as a good look. The international community will be looking on with words like "no" and phrases like "you couldn't make it up." That was nothing.
That's faster.
That's the official Scottish translation, right?
Aye, of course it is. I did it my fucking self. But you're right, you couldn't make it up. If it's no clear to the world now that there's a big horn being wrapped over our gobs and suppression of our freedom of expression, so much for no oppression, Supreme Court.
Yeah.
These are actually clear acts of oppression.
Yeah. No money.
Back to the Supreme Court.
No money. Complete lack of democracy. And freedom of speech gone. Right? And what they've done is, in actual fact, in the background, the Human Rights Act 2000 has been overwritten by the cabinet down south. They've taken out section 28, which talked about free speech and all the rest of it. That's why the wee woman had "Not My King," and she actually got picked up with the police. She was allowed to be picked up with the police for
Yeah,
it.
here in Scotland, we're all wearing "Not My King" t-shirts in the post. We're giving us a thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, walking down the high street in the post, sees "Not My King" on your shirt, and he's giving you a wee hammer. Hey, on yourself, I'm a Republican.
The police going by, if there were a certain type of police, they go, USNP. We'll be around later on with a forensics tent. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Right, and because we're rapidly running out of time, something absolutely hilarious came out of the Court of Appeal down there at the High Court in England today. And that was that the grounds in which the High Court had ruled the Rwanda deal illegal wasn't the reason why the Appeal Court was upholding the Rwanda deal would be illegal. In fact, the judge reads out all the sections where the UK government was right and said, where you got it wrong was, Rwanda is not a safe third country.
You've heard it here before. If you don't believe about Rwanda, go and look up the movie Hotel Rwanda. And that's based on a true story, and you don't want to go there for your holidays. You certainly don't want to be sent there as a refugee.
No, you certainly don't. But that's about it for the day, David. Before we get the rounding up.
No, I never thought I'd get through this one. My goodness me.
I'm glad you're back, because it's pretty difficult to do a 45-minute show. I know I've been doing it for a long time, but I was actually having to sit down and write scripts again, David. You know how much work is into one of them.
Well, you know that when I've got a point to make, sometimes I'll go and do a short, right?
Aye.
I couldn't do what you do. I couldn't do a program end to end by myself. It's just impossible.
No, but
I have a luxury in that I've got you.
I mean, it's good to be back, because it's much easier to discuss a subject when you've got a couple of different minds on it and you're bouncing off each other.
A few weeks ago, I saw Gordon Ross getting blooming panned online, right? And I was trying to point out to people, Gordon's on his own. Gordon hasn't got anybody else to bounce off of, right? Before the program, if I say something idiotic, David will blooming tell me, right, you know. And if he says something idiotic, not often, but I'll tell him, right, you know. So
That's why I'm calling you up about the Hooray Henrys and Henriettas. We don't want any trouble for us, so let's just call them eccentric. There are certain, I mean, it might do you a wee tongue to actually go and read the community rules.
the thing is, you haven't seen a Hooray Henry or seen a Hooray Henry.
I've actually eccentric people in my days, dear boy.
I've seen them up front.
I've seen them. Listen, I remember I used to live down that road and all. I've seen a lot of eccentric people in my days. I can assure you. A lot of them are actually got something to do with the bloody military.
I've fitted the hearing aid loop system into the blooming Ritz, I'll have you know, my boy.
Anyway, it's good to have you back. I want to thank everybody who's made donations to this month's food bank appeal. We'll give you a running total on Monday and who it's gone to, because Dave and I are going to have to sit down and talk about this now.
It's nice. I had a look. Just was it yesterday, and it's sitting a tickle over £700. So that's going to be a good help for a food bank.
A number of charities, David.
What we're going to do is the first one we're going to do is David's going to choose the food bank, and all of the monies go to that food bank. And when it's brought up again, then it'll be myself. Are we still on, guys? Yeah, David seems to have clicked off. Usual thing, bandwidth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the roundup. Okay. If you haven't already, click the like button, please. All these likes help us. I'm just doing the roundup, David. If you can hear me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, or you're new to us, then please subscribe, because every subscription, it's not money that you pay for it. It's just subscribe the link to the channel. It helps us because we get more facilities with more subscribers. The next thing is David always does the link through his channel to the Facebook, and Facebook always mess about with his feed. So can you give him like 5-10 minutes after the show before you try and share from Facebook? Otherwise, you'll just end up sharing the blank screen. Okay.
It would be an interesting fact before we go, David. Did you notice that early shows you've only there, because I was doing it in the Indie Truck Davies style, I wasn't promoting and asking for shares and things like that, because I never used to promote myself.
Yes.
So I just went back into that mode. But now you're back, folks, and it's the Two Davies show again. We want you to share it across your social media platforms. We want you to hit the like button on YouTube to give us more access to facilities on YouTube. And if we'd like you to share it across your platforms, all your platforms can take it, whatever one's there. You know.
Do you know something? The way I look at it is, if people didn't like what we were saying, then what they do is they go elsewhere, right? And all we tend to be doing is just airing what people are generally all agreeing on, right? There are certain things we'll say that will be a bit on the edge, but on those ones we do tend to do a great deal of work on researching. So anyway, all right. So that just leaves us one thing to say, which is, if you liked us, we are the Two Davies. If you didn't like us and want to give us both a good kick up the arse, then we are the Rishi Sunak duo. Is with that.
Appreciation Society. No, I would have one for Rishi Sunak.
Go on.
I'd say, if you didn't like us, we are the Rishi Sunak short trouser appreciation.
It's one with he wears the short trousers and the great big lace-up boots. You go halfway up his shins. You go, oh bloody hell!
Right, catch you later, guys.
Hey guys, bye.